Mary Cosby is facing every parent's worst nightmare. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star is mourning the devastating loss of her son, Robert Cosby Jr., a tragedy that has shaken her family and the community around them. On February 25th, she confirmed that her 23-year-old son had passed away, just 2 days after he was found unresponsive by authorities in Salt Lake City. The news came suddenly, painfully, and with the kind of finality that leaves no room for preparation. For Mary, who has always spoken boldly and unapologetically on television, this moment was not about cameras, not about headlines, and not about public opinion. It was about a mother grieving her child. In a statement released to TMZ on February 25th, Mary expressed her heartbreak while leaning firmly on her faith. She described her son as our beloved son Robert Jr., and said he had been called home to the Lord. Even in her sorrow, she spoke with the language of belief, saying that although their hearts ache, they take comfort in God's promise and in knowing He is finally at peace. She thanked supporters for their prayers and said she trusts in the Lord to carry the family through this time of deep sorrow. It was a statement filled with pain, but also grounded in the spiritual conviction that has long been central to Mary's life and public identity. Robert Jr., whom Mary shared with her husband, Robert Cosby Sr., had been discovered on February 23rd. According to a spokesperson for the Salt Lake City Police Department, officers responded to what was described as a possible overdose. When authorities arrived, they found the young man deceased. The investigation remains ongoing, and the medical examiner has not yet released an official cause of death. For now, the family waits not only with grief, but also with unanswered questions. That kind of waiting can feel unbearable, caught between shock and clarity, between disbelief and confirmation. Those who followed Mary's journey on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City had already witnessed the complicated and often painful chapters of Robert Jr.'s life. His struggles were not hidden. They were discussed openly, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes tearfully, but always with an undercurrent of concern. Viewers saw glimpses of a young man battling personal demons while trying to navigate adulthood under the spotlight of a reality television franchise. The pressure of that visibility can be immense, particularly for someone already facing emotional and legal challenges. Earlier this month, Robert Jr. had been released from the Salt Lake County Metro Jail after serving approximately 2 months. His attorney, Clayton Sims, told Page 6 at the time that the period of incarceration had given him a chance to sober up and begin thinking more clearly. The time allowed Robert to reflect and regain some stability. He was reportedly looking forward to doing positive things and moving ahead with his life. The attorney also shared that one of Robert's struggles had been accepting the end of his marriage. He had been slow, Sims explained, to recognize that the relationship was truly over. But by the time of his release, he had begun to understand that reality and was attempting to move forward. In December, Robert Jr. had pleaded guilty to 8 of 14 charges filed against him. Those charges included assault and violating a pretrial protective order that had been obtained by his estranged wife, Alexiana Arian Smokoff, who was 21. Court documents obtained by People confirms that 6 misdemeanor charges were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they cannot be refiled. The legal proceedings painted a picture of turmoil and instability. For a young man in his early 20s, these were serious consequences, ones that would likely shake the direction of his future. Yet, even amid those legal troubles, Mary publicly expressed a sense of cautious detachment during the Season 6 reunion of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She said she was not worried about her son, explaining that she knew he was somewhere where he was not using substances. Her words carried a mixture of hope and resignation. She acknowledged that at some point she had to step back and allow him to learn and make his own decisions, even if that learning came the hard way. "But I'm okay with it," she said at the time, suggesting a mother trying to balance love, boundaries, and faith. That moment now echoes differently in light of his death. Parents often wrestle with how much to intervene and how much to allow their adult children to experience consequences on their own. It is a delicate, painful balance, particularly when addiction or legal struggles are involved. Mary's words during the reunion revealed a woman who had likely spent years worrying, praying, confronting, forgiving, and hoping. To step back does not mean to stop loving. It means recognizing the limits of control, even when the stakes feel life or death. The loss of a child reshapes everything. It changes how memories are held, how conversations are remembered, how silence feels inside a home. For Mary and Robert Cosby Sr., Grief will not be measured only in days or weeks, but in milestones that will now arrive without their son present. Birthdays will carry a different weight. Holidays will have an empty space at the table. Even ordinary afternoons may feel heavier. Public figures experience grief in a complicated way. On one hand, there is an outpouring of support from fans and strangers who send prayers and condolences. On the other hand, there is scrutiny. There are headlines. There are opinions. Mary's statement was brief and rooted in faith, perhaps intentionally so. In times like this, privacy can feel both impossible and essential. The family has asked for prayers and has placed their trust in God to carry them through. For many who share similar beliefs, that trust becomes an anchor when everything else feels uncertain. Robert Jr.'s life, though marked by challenges, cannot be reduced solely to his legal troubles or the circumstances of his death. He was a son, a husband at one time, a young man with potential and complexity. Those closest to him will remember moments that the public never saw: private laughter, quiet conversations, small acts of kindness. Grief often involves holding both realities at once, acknowledging the pain and also remembering the humanity. The ongoing investigation means there are still details unknown. The medical examiner's findings may eventually provide clarity about what happened on February 23rd. But for Mary, the technical cause may matter less than the emotional reality. A mother's grief is not measured by reports or documents. It is felt in the stillness of rooms that once echoed with familiar footsteps. As condolences continue to pour in, many viewers are reflecting on the scenes they watched over the years. Reality television can blur the line between entertainment and real life. But moments like this remind audiences that the people on screen are living real, complicated lives. The cameras may capture arguments and dramatic exchanges, but they cannot fully capture the depth of private struggle. Mary's reliance on her faith will likely remain central as she navigates this loss. Her statement framed Robert Jr.'s passing as a return home to the Lord, emphasizing peace after turmoil. For believers, that perspective offers comfort, the idea that suffering has ended, that rest has been found. Still, comfort does not erase pain. It simply gives it a place to land. In the coming weeks, the family may choose to share more, or they may choose silence. Both are understandable. Grief unfolds differently for everyone. Some find solace in speaking openly, others heal in quiet. For now, Mary has asked for prayers and expressed trust in divine guidance. That is the space she has offered the public. Robert Jr.'s story, as it unfolded in fragments through media coverage and television appearances, reflected the turbulence that many young adults face: identity struggles, relationship breakdowns, substance issues, legal consequences. But beneath those headlines was a 23-year-old navigating pressures that few fully understand. His passing serves as a somber reminder of how fragile recovery can be, and how urgent support systems are in moments of crisis.